Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 8.17. The chapter which we are related with is spoilage and defective productions. Here we are specifically associated with defective production. And I would like to remind you that defective products are those damaged products which are repairable. The first word which is directly associated with it is these losses are repairable. And when you repair such damaged goods, you will be selling them as A pairs. So you have not to worry about uh, the loss because it would be automatically recovered. Sale as A pair after putting some effort. So as it was earlier decided that defective production is a sort of production where some number of units are damaged, you put a re-effort or rework upon them by putting material, labor and FH upon those damaged products. With that rework, you will turn these damaged products again back to the A pair or A product. And this way, you will recover that damage. Journal entries, as usual, we will be doing come to the requirement pass journal entries to record the production. And again, there are two parts: loss is charged to the production and loss is not charged to the production. Calculate cost per unit. This is a new thing and we will discuss it later on. Whole volume of the question is in front of you. Since we are required to make journal entries, so let's start and directly narrate our first journal entry. Where we start with work in process, but that work in process will be related with material only. Then we see work in process for labor only. Then we see work in process for FOH. And since work was started, it was favorable. That is why you have debited the work in process. And next, material had gone out or you have used it. Decrease in material, decrease in asset, which should be credited. So you have credited material. In the similar way, your labor was used to create work in process. Similar way, your factory overhead used to create your work. Narration you can put as work is started or work started alone, that would also be enough. So in this way your first entry would be completed. At this stage you just come to know that some number of units have been damaged, but that is not severe damage. You can repair them by putting some new effort, by putting rework. You can turn those defective units into A pair. So what you will do, you will start your rework in process where you will bring your material again to be put upon damaged goods. Then you will be applying your labor units upon those damaged products. And finally, you put some work in process in terms of FOH upon damaged goods. Similarly, as in first entry, your material would be used, okay, your labor would be used, okay, and your factory overheads would be used for rework. This rework would be done on defective goods, with which we can turn these defective goods into usable A pairs, and we will sell them on the same price upon which your standardized products are being sold. Finally, we will see number 3, where we will see the finished products or finished goods. As you will get your finished goods, it is favorable, it is asset, it should be debited, so you will debit finished goods. Work in process was your asset, but now it has been completed. So it means when work in process was started, you have debited, and now work in process is ended. That is why you are crediting it, means putting on the opposite side at completion. So here, as usual, work in process material, work in process labor, and work in process FOH would be put on credit side. This means our finished products are ready or finalized. These three entries, just the key part of the question and nothing else you have to do. It means it is ended. All three entries are completed and we are now be ready to see how to put amounts according to requirement of our question. So therefore we will see how question is going out. Little bit blurry on left side, but it is okay at right side, and we do need only right side. Left side is just the theory, right side is for the amount. In response to customer order, manufacturing company proceed 400 units. So 400 are the total number of units which would be produced. For production of this order, initially the company incurred following costs. Material 120 per unit. Now you will have to pay attention. This is per unit. It's not the total cost. You will have to make total cost. How? Units will be multiplied by per unit. Here you have got the units and these are per unit. So material cost would be calculated by multiplying units into per unit. Then we have labor cost and then we have FOH cost at the end. Here, check it out. Quality checker detected some defective units. In order to remove these defects, the company incurred following additional costs. So this is rework. Now please focus upon here. 120 per unit was mentioned, but in rework per unit is not mentioned. It means it's a total cost. And the very important matter about factory overhead is here company applies factory overhead rate at 3 over 4 of direct labor cost. So this rate would be used for total as well as for defective pairs. Now we are going to put amounts in journal entries, and here I will write the formula first. What you will do, units will be multiplied by per unit. Number of units given here were 400 and you need to multiply it with per unit. Per unit of material 120 is written over here, so you will write 120. In this way your calculation would be completed and we are turning it in this way. A little more space is needed. That's okay for us. We can make little adjustment. So first entry we have completed. Since statement is completed, we can calculate it. 400 is to be multiplied with 120. Amount of work in process material we have calculated. In second stage, we will be calculating amount of work in process labor, for which we will be doing the same thing. Units are to be multiplied with per unit. Units are 400 for labor, material and FOH similar. Now we will see per unit of labor, and here it has been mentioned 40. 120 was for material, 40 is for labor. So here you will calculate amount of labor by multiplying it with 40. In this way statement has been completed. This is just for you the calculation how you will put it. Okay, now statement is completed. We can calculate the amount 400. We will follow this formula 400 multiplied by 40. Alright, second amount has been completed. Now for work in process FOH, what you will do, number of units would be multiplied with per unit, or instead of per unit, why don't we write exact word which we have used in previous chapters as also per unit cost of material, then per unit cost of labor. In similar way, we will use per unit cost of FH. So now see how many number of unit, 400, same for material labor FH, and per unit cost of FH will have to see. Here it was narrated as company obliged factory overhead rate 3 over 4 of direct labor. Direct labor was 40. Here we can calculate. Direct labor was 40 and you need to calculate what? 3 by 4. So it would be multiplied by 3 and divided by 4. Statement completed. Now calculated 40 multiplied by 3 divided by 4. So here we have calculated FH. How? Because it was said company applies factory overhead rate 3 over 4 of labor. Labor rate was 40 and we have taken 3 by 4. In this way 30 per unit is factory overhead rate. So for our question we needed FH per unit and that has been calculated as 30. So put 30 over here. In this way statement for work in process FH has been completed. Now we can put amount over here. We will follow this formula. 400 is going to be multiplied by 30. All amounts are completed for the first entry and you have a better sense of accounting where we will put a simple principle. Amounts on debit side are always equal to amounts on credit side. So whatever you have written over here would be put on opposite credit side. So 48,000, 16,000 and 12,000 would be put in this way. Entry has been completed. Now we will go back to the question and we'll read again. Detected some defective unit. In order to remove these defects, company incurred following additional costs. Additional cost means rework upon damaged goods. So we have total material cost 1900 and 1200. We will post it for our rework. We do not need to apply this formula. We will directly post the amount. First amount was for the material 1900. Here it was mentioned in the book. Direct labor cost 1200. Put 1200 over here and then work in process FH. Again rule will be applied over here, 3 by 4 of direct labor cost. Here we can calculate total or rework FH is equal to, and right here what we have calculated was per unit FH. Okay, so rework for FH, it is said that 3 over 4 of labor was 1200 and we need to take 3 and multiply by 3 divided by 4. Statement would be calculated now. 1200 multiply by 3 divided by 4. In this way our calculation has been completed. So rework FH is 900. Here is your rework and amount you have calculated was 900. Put over here. Again rework has been completed and we will apply a simple accounting principle. Whatever is present on debit side would be present on credit side as well. Same amounts would be present on credit side. So put 1900 for material, then 1200 for labor, and then 900 for factory overhead. Two entries have been completed. For last entry there are two options. We can directly post amounts over here, and the first option we can make ledgers, and as I have requested earlier, you will have to make ledgers, otherwise it would be incomplete part of your question. So it is requested To make ledgers, it is better for understanding. First amount which we need is work in process material. So you will make ledger for work in process and material. What we will do, we will observe if work in process material is present on debit side, we will put amount on debit side. If work in process material is present on credit side, we will put amount on credit side. So there are only two entries where work in process is present, and both amounts are present on debit side. Look at here, first entry on debit side, second entry on debit side. So both amounts 48,000 and 1900 would be put over debit side, and reference is same, two material and two material. Here our ledger is starting, first amount was 48,000. This was your first amount. How we have taken? First entry, work in process material, debited 48,000. Now second 1900 is also on debit side, put over here. And for your convenience, I am showing you that for reference, what do you write? Whatever is written on the opposite side would be used as reference. So two material is reference for both entries. So first you can put two material over here, and same two material would be put over here. Ledger has been completed. It's time to balance it. For balance, what do? You will take total of both sides. First, total of debit side would be put over here, and similarly you will be calculating total of credit side. As you know, nothing is mentioned over here, total would be 0. Second step is to go for smaller. Second step is to see which total is the larger sum. Larger sum is 49,900. You are going to put 49,900 on total of both sides, 49,900. Second step is to see which side is the smaller side. As you can see, total of credit side is 0, so smaller side is 0, where you will put by balance. How would you calculate this balance? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger sum was 49,900 and you need to subtract smaller sum, which is 0. In this way your balance is 49,900, and this balance would be put in third entry. We have made illustrated work in process material ledger. Answer of that ledger is 49,900, and you will be putting same amount over here. This answer you have calculated. What ledger you have made? Work in process material. Okay. Then you have calculated the balance 49,900, and this balance will be put over here. In the similar way, you will be calculating balances for work in process labor and work in process FH as well. So let's make next ledger for work in process labor. Today we will try to make all three ledgers instead of putting direct amount. So let's save the place for the next ledger as well. So second ledger which we will make is work in process, which one? Labor. Now we will see where entries are present for work in process labor. Since only two journal entries are present, in both journal entries work in process labor is present on debit side. First entry work in process labor 16,000 debit, second entry work in process labor 1200 is debited. So 16,000 and 1200, 16,000 was present on debit side, you are putting on debit side, and second 1200 was present on debit side, so you have posted on debit side. Work in process material, okay, labor we were discussing 16,000 and 1200, so 16,000 and 1200. And secondly, you will see the reference, and as you know that reference would be put whatever is written on the opposite side. So work in process labor was debited, opposite side to labor. In both entries you will use to labor, and to labor would be put over. Now we will be finalizing our ledger by calculating the sum of both sides. Sum of debit side is 17,200. Sum of credit side would be 0 as nothing is present on credit side. Second step is to see the larger sum, which is 17,200. We will put this larger sum on total of both sides. Here 17,200 on debit side and same total on credit side. Third step is to see to calculate the balance, for which we will go to the smaller side. Smaller side was 0 and here you will calculate the balance. How? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger sum was 72,900 and you need to subtract smaller sum, which was 0. In this way you have calculated your balance. Now this balance would be put in front of work in process labor, because ledger answer is final answer for entries. Let me correct it balance. Alright. So we have our balance 17,200. Go back to the entry and there you will write down the balance. How you will write? Work in process labor ledger was completed. Its balance was 17,200. So you will put over here. In very similar way, you will be calculating your ledger for work in process FH. I am hopeful that it's so easy for you that you can neglect as well. I really know that. So work in process FOH ledger would be made. I think first time we are making it. For this we will see work in process FOH present in above two entries. In both entries work in process FOH debit, work in process FOH is debited. So both amounts would be present on debit side of ledger as well. First amount is 12,000 and second amount, this was your first amount 12,000 and second amount of work in process FH is 900. So you will post 900 as well on debit side. Rule of ledger is the name of the ledger would be searched in journal entries. If it is present on debit side, you will post on debit side. Now we are looking for reference. As you can see, work in process FH was debit due to what? Factory overhead is written on credit side. So opposite side factory overhead. So you will write here FH. 2 FH would be put over here and again 2 FH over here. Ledger is completed. It's time to calculate the balance. First step is to take total of both sides. So total of debit side is 12,900, but total of credit side is nothing, as it would be nil because nothing was mentioned on credit side. It's time to see the larger sum 12,900. We will put on total of both sides 12,900. Now it's time to calculate our balance. How? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Our larger sum was 12,900. You will need to subtract smaller sum 0. In this way we have got our amount. This is third amount, which is work in process FOH. It is now needed to put this amount in journal entry. Balanced amount is 12,900. Let it be checked. Okay, and go back to the journal entry. This was your vacant space where you have to put the amount. For work in process FH we have made ledger, and you can see this was your ledger and balance was calculated 12,900. So put it in front of here. Finally, all entries are completed except this finished goods, and you do know we will apply a simple accounting principle over here. Sum of credit side would always be equal to sum of debit side. Since debit side nothing is written, so what you will do, you will write sum of credit side 49,900, then you will add 17,200, then you will add 12,900, so sum would be written on debit side. In this way, first part where we have seen loss is not charged to the production. Loss is not charged to the production, and we have got our finished product 80,000. Go back to the question. We have solved part A, cost cost of work charged to entire cost of rework is charged to the order, and it has not been mentioned over here. It is not charged to the production. And please note it down, calculate cost per unit under both methods. So here we will calculate our per unit cost as well. You have complete idea. Whenever you want to calculate per unit cost, you take amount and divide it with units. Now amount of finished good is 80,000. So you can put 80,000 over here. Number of unit manufactured were 400. It was mentioned in the book. You can see produced 400 units. And what is our requirement? Cost per unit for both. So total cost for finished goods we have calculated 80,000, and 80,000 divided by 400. In this way we can calculate our per unit cost, 80,000 divided by 400. So in this way our per unit cost is calculated as 200. Let's check the answer. Cost per unit, A part is 200 calculated, since it is 200, so it is matched. So first pass was not charged to the production, charged to department. So charge to the order or charge to the department, first part is completed. For second part we have to do nothing. Whatever is present in first entry you will pick it and will post as it is on second part of the question. You have seen no amount has been changed, no formula has been changed, per unit, total unit, everything is same. So same entry you have done over here. And for second entry, what you will do, you will pick these amounts and will post as it is on the opposite side. Have you understood? Look here, amounts are still same, 1900, 1200 and 900. Everything is same except for the debit side. When you will charge loss to the production, a new word will be introduced, and that is FH. Amount of FH is still not present, but rule is similar. Debit side and credit side will always be equal. On credit side there were three amounts, so what you will do, you will take sum of these three amounts. Again, sum of these three amounts would be put over here. In this way simply you have completed your second entry. For third entry, what you will do, you will pick this entry and will drop to the next page as it is, but there will be a difference. We will not be able to write same amounts because there is a difference of tactics. Now here you can see that instead of work in process we had FH. So only first entry does have work in process. So when you will make the ledger, there is only one amount. I will make only one ledger and you will be understanding by yourself how to put the amount. So first ledger is work in process material, for which we will be observing where work in process material is present. Only one entry does have work in process, 48,000 debit side. So you will put 48,000 on debit side. Reference, as you know, is material. Alright, the single entry ledger. Now it's time to balance it. First we will take the total of both sides. Total of debit side 48,000, total of credit side 0, nothing is mentioned. Larger total would be put on total of both sides. We have larger sum 48,000, it has been put. Now select smaller side, which was credit. There you will put your balance. How this balance would be calculated? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. larger sum 48,000, and you will subtract smaller sum which was 0. In this way your balance has been calculated for the work in process material. So come over here and write down 48,000 first answer, and secondly you can see 48,000 was the amount and answer of ledger was also, because there is only one amount, nothing to add, nothing to subtract. It means second answer would be 16,000. As you have seen, first answer was 48 and 48 was also the answer of ledger. In the similar way, 16,000 and 12,000 would be answers of further ledger. We have spared the space. Here you can make the ledger as well. Okay, in this way, our entry has been completed, and what we have done over here is same. Since finished goods amount was not present, we have added all of these three amounts and got the balance over here. In this way, this part has also been completed. You can see that around 20 to 25 minutes we have taken for first part, and for second part 2 to 3 minutes all entries are completed over here. So now it's time to see the requirement of the question. We also need to calculate per unit cost. So go at bottom of the question where you have calculated per unit cost here. Now for second part, you will be doing the same thing. Per unit cost, as you know, it would be calculated by taking amount first, and then it would be divided by number of units. Amount of finished goods in B case was 76,000. So you will be taking 76,000 first, and then you need to divide it with number of units, 400. 400 is similar for both, and here you have seen in question 400 number of units were produced. Alright, statement is completed. Now let's calculate it. 76,000 divided by 400. So we have got 190, and answer in our question is B part also 190. First part 200, second 190. So first part 200 and second part 190. This was our requirement, and that requirement has been completed. In this way, all of our question is completed, answers are matched. Look at the volume of the solution. We have done these entries, 3 on left side, 3 on right side. We have made some ledgers to calculate the amount, 3 on left, 3 on right, and finally the solution has been completed. So this was all about 8.17, but still if you have any understanding yet to be made, you can ask your question. If there is any query, if there is any difficulty, you can share through messages, text, or directly you can meet to solve your problem. I will surely be present and instantly available for answers of your queries. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye, and please, I'm requesting you to repeat this question again and again for more than once so that you can have a stronger memory for the question. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz.